Hey, yo, this is Meek J, and I'm rocking with Mikey T, the movie star, and we live on Report Card Radio.
And we are live. Meek J, man, I want to welcome you to Report Card Radio, dude. For everyone who doesn't know, I've got one of the dopest producers in the game right now. Can you introduce yourself to the Report Card Radio audience?
Hey, how everybody doing? This is Meek J for Meek J Productions, LLC, Strata, Newark, New Jersey, Hooterville section, West Ward, 07106 shit. Feel me? I'm in the building. Report Card Radio right now.
Appreciate you tapping in, man. So Meek, let's let everyone know where you're actually from and how you actually got into the game originally.
I'm from Newark, New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? I originally got into the game, just being an explorer. And I met up with Randy Allen, which was Jam Master Jay's partner. And, me and him bumped heads, and he wound up bringing me up to Jam Master Jay's studio. And, I met him on the streets, did a Coliseum on 165th Street in Queens, Jamaica, Queens. And he was handling some business. I was a young dude, and he needed some help with some boxes. And I would just happen to be crossing his path. And I took those boxes upstairs. It was Jam Master Jay's studio. And that became my home from there.
Wow, man. So could you take me into that, actually getting the chance to meet Jam Master Jay?
Yeah, once I got upstairs, I realized where I was at. I met Jam Master Jay. I met his nephew, Bo Stacks. I met Run's nephew, Run, and Russell Simmons' nephew, Chris. It was all up there working on the Run DMC album, you know what I'm saying? So I just walked into heaven sent hip hop, like majesty or something, you know what I'm saying? I was blessed to do that, you know what I mean?
Facts, man. And going from there, could you explain to me how Jam Master Jay actually helped you get started in the game? How were you able to develop a relationship with him?
Well, once I got in the building, I was, I met everybody, I dapped everybody up. I stayed for a little while, and they just welcomed me back. And then I just became family in the building, and I watched the process of the Run album being made. I watched the process of Jam Master Jay making beats, and I watched how Chris and Bo Stacks and just the whole team up there at Jam J was all in one unison working to make great music. You know what I'm saying? And I just joined that process. You know what I mean? I got inspired. I joined the process, and then Jam Master Jay showed me the steps and the foundation of making beats, the foundation on how to write raps and all that. And this was around the time that he had 50 Cent, and 50 Cent was just blossoming. You know what I'm saying? And before, Jam Master Jay once said to me, yo, you remind me of a 50 Cent type of guy. I never forget that. He told me, you remind me of 50 Cent, but you like a producer, you're going to be like a 50 Cent producer type guy. And I was like, I looked at him okay, I didn't even know who 50 Cent was at that point,
So going from there, where did you get the drive to actually start, going further with producing and, even executive producing tracks?
Well, what happened was, this is a great story. Once I started learning the basics and the fundamentals of producing, I started practicing, harnessing my craft, and I started branching out. I got my own equipment, and I started branching out. I started rocking with Noriega and Akinelli, you know what I'm saying? And I was working on Akinelli beat machines too, as well, in Sherwood, Queens, and Left Rack City, you know what I'm saying? So, I just started branching out and just harnessing my craft and getting good at it. Then Akinelli was the guy who showed me the industry, the shows and all that. He took me, Noriega, all of us on the road. And this is when Noriega had the record LA. You know what I'm saying? They were able to perform that record on tour with Akinelli. And that's how that record was able to explode, besides the video they did with Mar Deep and Tragedy.
So aside from Noriega, who were some of the other artists that you were able to work with, and who were some of the other people you were able to build relationships with?
Well, as I started progressing and getting good with my craft, I started working with the bad boy producers, J. Wax Garfield. I was around the energy of the Hitmen, Ron Lawrence, and those guys. So I started building with those guys, and my craft started getting better. I started becoming one of the legit, the elite producers, but still under the radar as far as my name. But as far as my craft is concerned, I started becoming great at that, and my business savvy started to grow as well. by being around all these juggernauts, from the experience of Jam Master Jay in the studio, from the experience from moving from Jam Master Jay to Akinelli to Noriega and going on those tours with Rampage, being in the van, traveling to all those Motel 6 hotels. I started seeing how everything worked. You get what I'm saying? So while I was in love with music, but unconsciously, I was building a business savvy. You get what I'm saying? The business savvy started coming naturally. So that's where my confidence came in with the on the business end, and I started like meshing the two, realizing that I knew how to talk to people. I had the gift for gab on how to sell and pitch what I believed in, which is myself.
What were some of your favorite tracks that you've produced? You know, you did Super Throwed with Game and Juicy J. You know, you did some Fetty Wap records, even produced for T.I. and Tiny's daughter's group, the OMG Girlz. So tell me about your favorite tracks that you've done.
My favorite track that I did in the studio, I would say, is the OMG Girl record, because that was the first record that brought me into the music industry. Vincent Herbert, you know, he's from Newark, New Jersey. So, you know, I was making a name for myself in Newark, New Jersey. I put my first group out, Essex County Generals, my first mixtape I put out, and Tretch heard about it. He joined on it with me, and then we blew it up locally in Essex County, within Newark, East Orange, Irvington, and then all the surrounding areas, Orange. So, you know, once I got the buzz going on locally, all the guys like Vince and Otis Best from Flavor Unit and Rodney Jerkins, his cousin Buzz, all these guys started, you know, talking about me and pondering about who is this kid that's producing these records. And Vince was the first guy to step up and say, hey, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to work with the OMG Girls. Nothing's promised to you. I'm gonna send you out to Atlanta. You're gonna work with Libby. Libby's a writer from 1500 and Nothing out in LA. You know, the guys that work with Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace to Nipsey. But she was the writer that came in the studio when I worked on the OMG Girls project. We was in there for like 5 days, and I was letting her like control the situation in the beginning, like pick records for different songs. So she was writing, and none of the records was quite coming out for the OMG Girls. Some would sound like records for Rihanna or Beyonce. And on the 5th day, my last day in town, I told her, today, let me lead the way. And when I led the way, we came up with the OMG Girls' #1 record that they had in the world, that they performed all around the world, nationally around the world on the Scream tour, Loverboy.
Did you actually get the opportunity to meet T.I. and Tiny throughout that whole process? What was it like?
I didn't get the chance to meet T.I. and Tiny. They knew all about me, but, you know, it was a lot of politics in between the record, because when I did the record, I did the record within that 5-day span that I was in Atlanta, and probably like a month went by. I left the record there, a month went by. I didn't even know that they took the record and went on tour. You know, friends of mine said, hey, you know, your record that you produced with the OMG Girls, they on a Scream tour. Look at YouTube. And that 20 million views, 30 million views. And then Vincent Herbert didn't even know I was the producer of the record. So I had to go back, catch up with Vince. Vince found out it was me that did the record after he sent me down there. He paid me my first half through Interscope with my first paycheck, $7,500, my first half through Interscope. And, you know, he prepared me, you know, for my second half, flew me out to LA, put me in a Grafton hotel on Sunset. And, you know, I was on my way. And, you know, from there, you know, I guess business, as you know, this industry can get, you know, it could be up here 1 minute, and it could drop down here during business. So whatever the business that was going on with Tiny, T.I., and Vincent Herbert at the time concerning the OMG Girls, I never got to see that record blossom. I never got my full potential out of the record. But what that record did was it gave me a household name up at Interscope Records. And I met with Cara Pastel in Interscope when Vince flew me out. And she knew I did Loverboy. And then I sat down with her. I made beats for her, played beats for her. And then she decided, her and Otis, to put me in the studio with Dre from Cool and Dre to work with Game.